Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls across the world. I'm Coach Don. Welcome to Coach Don Reacts. Hope everybody having a great Easter. Everybody made it home safe and getting ready for this work week and all the things of that nature. Today we're going to be reacting to the NFL.com mock draft. We probably won't do the whole draft, just at least to the Dallas Cowboys pick, but we probably do the whole first round to see where Shedeur goes and Travis Hunter, and see if the Cowboys will finally do something of noteworthy, because it's been kind of lackluster these last few first and second round picks. So let's see what they got for us. So first pick they have Tennessee Titans, number 1 pick, Cam Ward, which Cam Ward is, I think he's perennially number 1. I think everybody thinks he's going number 1, and even I don't think they have the wherewithal to trade that pick for more picks. They need a quarterback, and Cam Ward and Shedeur is the top 2 quarterbacks. I think Shedeur is the best quarterback in the draft, but you don't go wrong with picking Cam Ward first. And they had I ain't gonna say decent, because you wouldn't be number 1 pick if you had a decent season, but they need a quarterback. Even though they done drafted 2 quarterbacks, I believe in the last 5 years they done drafted 2 quarterbacks in the first round. I mean, the first pick of the draft. So hopefully, which I think I got a lot of high hopes for Cam Ward, and think he'll come in and be the right pick for them. And number 2, we had the Cleveland Browns, and it seemed like the Cleveland Browns are always picking in the top 10 at least. They take the double-sided warrior, Travis Hunter, number 2, to the Cleveland Browns, and I think they need just about everything besides Myles Garrett, and they got a few defensive pieces over there at corner and safety, but I think Travis Hunter, if they allow him to play both sides, which they should, because they need him on both sides, then I think that's a good pick. I don't really want to see Travis Hunter go to Cleveland, because I want Dallas Cowboys. Everybody know I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I want them to trade up to get Travis Hunter, because we definitely need him. We need a legit number 2 wide receiver, and we need another corner, because our 2 starting corners are coming into the season hurt. Well, Diggs is coming into the season hurt, and Bland has been hurt. He was hurt most of last season. So, and I believe this is his contract year. He got 1 more year left, so they can try to figure that out and see what he do. But it's not about the Cowboys right now. Number 3, we have New York Giants pick. They take Abdul Carter out of Penn State, edge rusher, which is, like, if you look at him and you look at Michael Parsons, they basically the same person. Like, they built the same. Like, they both were number 11 at Penn State. If they just have their helmets on and they pass and they suit up, you wouldn't know which one was which until they turn around and you see the back of their name. And one says Parsons and one says Carter. Like, that's the only way you would know, and you still probably wouldn't know, because till they take the helmet off, because they built the same, they look the same, and they play the exact same way. But Penn State always have a bad edge rusher, defensive end, defensive tackle, linebackers wearing the number 11 since LeVar Arrington. So I think he's to be a good pick. I hate he going to come into. I would hate him coming into the division, but it is what it is. And number 4 was surprising to me with the New England Patriots. They got them taking Ashton Jeanty, and as Jeanty at number 4, that's kind of high from what I thought he would be. I thought he'd be in the teens. In New England, well, I guess they got their quarterback, and They're trying to give him some weapons, but I feel like they can get a good running back at number 4. If they trade pick back and get multiple picks, they can get a good running back still without getting Genty. Which Genty's a great running back, but I feel like they can trade back at number 4, trade back a few spots, get another first-round pick, get a second-round pick, a third, fourth, anything, and get some weapons for their new quarterback, for the young quarterback. But that's tough. Genty at 4 to the Patriots, that's tough. I wouldn't seen that coming. Number 5, Jacksonville Jaguars has Mason Graham. Michigan defensive tackle. I believe he came out early. I'm kind of salty on those Michigan defensive line with the Cowboys because they all do well in college and they make, they look like they would be something, but maybe it's just the Cowboys. They come to the Cowboys, they don't never do nothing. They end up either off the team in 4 years or out the league in 3. So I'm not really high on any Michigan defensive lineman. Number 6, pick 6, Las Vegas Raiders. They picking Shedeur. They got them picking Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, quarterback out of Colorado, which I think that's a good look. And that black and silver. Got Shedeur, he made for that type of prime time, man. Shedeur made for prime time. He made to go to a market like the Raiders, like a historic franchise. He just made. He born and built, bred for that. He bred to made to go to Shedeur. Go to the Raiders and try to bring back the glory days. Because it's been a while since they've been anything. They ain't been nothing since I was a child. I'm 40 years old, so they ain't been nothing since I was young, in my younger in teens, I believe. So, and Rich Gannon and all those guys are there. So we'll see, man. Playing in a dome in Las Vegas. I would like to see him, take that spot and run, Next we have up number 7, the 7th pick, New York Jets, Armand Nimbo, Missouri offensive tackle. I always think an offensive tackle is a good pick if he's a stud, because the game in 2025 is a passing game. So offensive tackle, defensive edge rusher, cornerback, and quarterback are the 4 highest paid positions, because you need someone to throw the ball, you need someone to block for the person that's throwing the ball, you need somebody to rush the passer, and you need somebody to stop the pass in the air, and receiver to catch the pass. So those 5 positions are the highest paid. You see all the big contracts, they always go to a quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, edge rusher, or offensive tackle. You got anomalies out here like Fred Warners and stuff like that, or that nature, or Chris Jones from Kansas City Chiefs, that's just so prolific and so amazing that no matter what position they play, they're gonna be paid well. So you never go wrong with drafting a tackle early. It's how you build glory days and dynasties off the trenches. The game is in the trenches. That ain't changed in 100 years of ever long football has been around. That's never changed. The game is always won in the trenches. Like my trenches versus your trenches. Who trenches are the best, and that's how you win the game. At number 8, the 8th pick, we have Carolina Panthers. They select Jalon Walker, University of Georgia, edge rusher. Again, it's the same thing. Can you defend the pass? Can you stop this quarterback from passing the ball? I don't know too much about Walker, but Georgia defensive line is always amazing. Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl, and they got 3 defensive linemen and a linebacker off that amazing national championship team they had 3 or 4 years ago. So, and they just won the Super Bowl. So they always have good defenders in the front seven. So I'm sure this one won't be no different. Pick 9, New Orleans Saints, Jackson Dart. This is originally where I thought Shedeur Sanders would go to New Orleans with they got Kellen Moore now. So, you know, Kellen Moore, he's with Dallas for a while. He's won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles as offensive coordinator. So I know he's gonna draft a quarterback. So if Shedeur is there, he going to New Orleans. But if Shedeur is gone, then he gonna select Jackson Dart. They selected one of those two. I don't see him doing nothing else unless they trade up to get Shedeur or trade up to get Cam Ward. That's the only thing I see them do. They drafted a quarterback because they need when they got Derek Carr. Him the same age, so it ain't no secret about that. Kellen Moore is drafting a quarterback. You can put all the money you got in your bank account on that one. Now, pick 10, Chicago Bears, LSU offensive tackle Will Campbell. You know, I think he transferred from, I can't remember, but most of these guys in here transfer from somewhere because the transfer portal is what it is. You know, that's how people building their team. They're not building through high schools anymore, but that's for another day. But Will Campbell, he's pretty good at LSU. And Caleb Williams, hey man, that's a $100 million man. They gotta have somebody to protect him. Last year they couldn't protect him. You know, he had a rough year from what everybody thought he was gonna be. So that would be a good pick for them. Pick 11, San Francisco 49ers, Michigan quarterback Will Johnson. I think they lost to Derek Ward, which was a top corner for them. And so this would be a replacement for him. You get him young, cheap. You know, they already got a lot of dollars going out to 5-6 players on the roster. So they gotta start getting back young and getting cheap players, cheap good players, cheap contributors that doesn't cost a lot against the cap. So Will Johnson was stud at Michigan, you know. So we'll see how he do with them, but that would be the best player available for them and probably high on their draft board, so it's a win-win for them. But how it turns out, nobody knows because none of these guys ever played in the NFL before. Pick 12, Dallas Cowboys. They select Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. I would love this pick, man, because Dallas need a bona fide number 2 receiver. Jalen Tolbert is good for what he's good for. He's good for splash plays, good in the red zone. But we need a bona fide number 2 receiver. You know, we got a lot of young guys behind CeeDee Lamb. And Golden, he can run. You know, he's one of the, when I was watching the Texas and I believe Texas and Georgia, I can't remember which one team, but in the playoffs they played, in Matthew Golden, he won the game for him basically. Because he was just the only thing that was just making all the plays, you know, and he fast. I think he ran a 4.2, a low 4.2 40. So he got the speed, he got over the top for Dak Prescott. And that's something Dak Prescott never had in his career. He never had a burner. He got Brandon Cooks, but Brandon Cooks at the end of his career, he never had a burner to take the top off defenses. So when you take the top off defense, you relieve pressure in the box, and then now I got to move 2 safeties back here because this guy, like Tyreek Hill, just taking the top off. So I got to spread out. So then that just makes the running game even better, and that helps our overall offense. Because Dak needs a running game. He got to have a running game. You don't have a running game, then it's hard. You know, when you're playing the pass, you don't have no running game. They playing cover 2 the whole game. That's tough. It's tough. Pick 13, Indianapolis Colts. Select Tyler Warren, Penn State tight end. He's really the only player on Penn State offense that I ever seen just jump out of the screen. But he, 13, I don't know if that's too high, but they need a tight end. But I think he's gonna be a good tight end, like a George Kittle type player. But I believe he'll be a decent tight end, to take them into the next phase of their offense, which I don't know what they're gonna do at quarterback, because Richardson, Anthony Richardson, he was tripping this year, saying he was tired, taking himself out the game. So I don't know what they gonna do with that, but I guess they try to get him a tight end, get him some help. Pick 14, Miami Dolphins select Shedeur Barron, Texas cornerback. I believe he was number 7. He was nice. He's one of the ones I wouldn't mind Dallas taking. And if he's there and they don't see nothing else, but Barron he nice. That'd be a good pick of Miami, especially when they trying to get Jalen Ramsey. They trying to trade him because his cap hit is $25 million, I believe. So they trying to trade him. Pick 15, Atlanta Falcons, Jaheed Campbell, linebacker, Alabama. I believe he was pretty good for them. Alabama defense wasn't like it was in previous years, but it was pretty good. But I believe that he'll help their defense. Because they need it, they need defenders, they need linebackers. They got a good secondary. Atlanta Falcons probably got one of the better secondaries in the league. So adding linebacker to their front seven should be a good pickup for them. Pick 16, Arizona Cardinals select Kelvin Banks Jr., Texas offensive tackle. Again, they got Kyler Murray, got a big paycheck for him. Gotta protect him. So I'm never mad at offensive tackle, especially at 16, the second half of the first half. All from probably 15 to 31, those are basically second round picks, So if you getting a player of his caliber at 16, that's a pretty good pick, Pick 17, Cincinnati Bengals select Michael Williams, Georgia edge rusher. We was talking about this earlier. Georgia edge rushers. They just spit them out, man. They always gonna have the top players on the defensive line coming out. There's always gonna be 2 or 3 of them every year that's coming out because they just got a pipeline of them coming. You know what I'm saying? So pause. So they gonna be there all the time for the picking, and you just gotta make sure you're picking the right one, because you don't want the lemon. Pick 18, Seattle Seahawks select Ted McMillan, Arizona wide receiver. This guy had a lot of people love him, a lot of people don't like him. Some people in the middle. I know Steve Smith put out a video on him saying that he don't believe he's worth the first round pick because he just don't see him coming out his brace good and playing with his hands. And but he got good speed to be so big. He's like 6'5". He ran a 4.5 at his pro day, so. And them trading DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh, they need a big wide receiver to go with Tyler Lockett. So, and Jackson, not Tyler. Now they got Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba. So that'll be a good good wide receiver core for a young quarterback. Pick 18, Green Bay Packers select Emike and Jigba, Ohio State wide receiver. Another one, Ohio State's like Georgia with edge rushers. Ohio State gonna always push out the top wide receivers, always. So, and he was number 2. He pretty good with them, and with Christian Watson and the young core wide receivers they have, and young quarterback. That's another weapon that they need. And that coach, he can draw them up. He can draw them plays up. Them Green Bay Packers are always in it. No matter who they got, they always in it with their coach. So that'll be a good pickup. Number 20, Denver Broncos select Mario Hampton, North Carolina running back. This is the guy that I was speaking of when I said New England trading back for another running back. Amari Hammond is a stud running back, and Denver will be getting him at 20. And New England would draft Genty at 4, when they can just trade back and get him at 10. You know, because a lot of those in there, they don't need running backs, so they don't need running backs, so they not going to select Genty or Hampton. So Cowboys will probably be the only one probably selecting a running back in that spot. San Francisco, they might, because Christian McCaffrey's getting on his last leg, so they need a filler. And that backup running back got traded somewhere, I can't remember. But it'll be easy to get back, drop down, especially when you need a lot of. When you in the Patriots need a lot. So them dropping back and trading that pick to somebody and just compiling picks and picking up solid guys, that's how you build a roster. Pick 21, Pittsburgh Steelers select Derek Harmon, Georgia defensive tackle. Oregon defensive tackle. They need it. You know, I think at that point, if you picking at 21, you picking best player available for you, which on your board, you know, draft, they got a board set like who's the number 1 pick player, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, so on and so forth. And you get to pick 21, and all your players are off the board, so you're gonna select the player you feel is at the top of your board. So that's how those things when you get to these late picks. Pick 22, Los Angeles Chargers, Colston Loveland, Michigan tight end. Justin Herbert, he needs a tight end. You know, he's a erratic player at times, but when you have a tight end that's good, young, good tight end with size, wide range target, you know, he needs that, because that's a quarterback's best friend is a tight end. Pick 23, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M edge. That's a good pickup. Tampa Bay have lost a lot of their defensive line over the years, just from going to other teams, retiring, you know, getting traded. So good to get some young, cheap talent in there and pick. You know, nobody know how none of these players gonna turn out. You just go by what they did in college and the fit that they have going into the next team, the team that drafts them. So that's all you can go by. You can't go. Nobody know what none of them do. And it's no such thing as they call them a sure pick, but nobody know, because they can get hurt. They can lose their mind for all you know. Like, you just never know. Pick 24, Buffalo Bills, Mike Green, Marshall edge. They got Von Miller. He long in the tooth. He's old. He's in his mid-30s, so it's time to refill the cupboard and get some young talent in there that they can learn. He can learn from Von Miller and learn from Ed. Just keep them coming. So when they signed Joey Bosa and they extended Gregory Rousseau, so they just got to keep them coming, keep them guys fresh, man. Like, I hate the Philadelphia Eagles, but they got the game plan down pat. They running 8, 9 defensive line players. So when it's money time, them guys are fresh, man. They fresh and they just keep coming. Houston Texans select Josh Simmons, Ohio State tackle. I know they just traded Larry Tunsil to the Commanders, and I believe they signed Cam Robertson. So Josh Simmons, young, cheap talent. Larry Tunsil expensive, so you get him out, get his money out of the books, and you refill it with young talent. You know, so Houston Texans, they've been quietly having a good off season and doing the right thing. Philadelphia Eagles pick number 26. Philadelphia Eagles select Walter Nolan, Mississippi D tackle. See, Philadelphia, they'll lose a D tackle. Whatever they lose, they're going to get it in that draft. Especially when you coming off the Super Bowl, you playing with house money. So now you can just get what you need. You know what I'm saying? Get the best available for the positions that you need. You know, you lose a player, you lose Milton Williams, and you just put another player in there for him. You know what I'm saying? And coach him up, develop him, and hope he works out. Pick 27, Kansas City Chiefs. Ariante Ursi, Minnesota, University of Minnesota, offensive tackle. Again, tackle. They Kansas City Chiefs. We seen him in the Super Bowl just get ram rushed by Philadelphia. They just couldn't block nobody. So you knew coming this offseason, the draft, they got to get offensive linemen. Even you got to reach for some, you got to get them. You got to get them developed. They signed Jalen Moore this offseason, so they got to get lineman help for Patrick Mahomes, because I don't care how good you are, I don't care if you Patrick Mahomes, you Superman. If you're not blocking, it ain't happening, Captain. Pick 26, Detroit Lions. Tyler Booker, Alabama offensive guard. Detroit Lions lost I think they lost Kevin Zeitler, and they lost someone else. But they just, again, got to replace these guys. Just replace them with young talent. You already got a lot of money going out to other players. You got to pay your running backs. You got to pay Jahmyr Gibbs. So you can't be out here just in free agents just spending money. So because it's a cap. So Booker, you bring him in. You hope that he develop into what you need him to develop into. Pick 29, Washington Commanders. Donovan Ezirike, Boston College edge rusher. They lost Dante Fowler. He came back to the Cowboys. So you got to replace him young and just refill that cover. You know, they lost. I think the defensive tackle retired. So you gotta replace that. Pick 30, Minnesota Vikings. Nick Amamaro, South Carolina safety. They need a safety. Probably with Harrison Smith. You know, Harrison Smith been there at least a decade plus. He been a solid player for as long as he been in the league. One of the most underrated safeties in the league. So pairing him to learn from Harrison Smith, I can see it. Pick 31, Baltimore Ravens, Malachi Starks. Georgia safety. They got Kyle Hamilton, so I can see him pairing with Kyle Hamilton, and because Kyle Hamilton, he one of my favorite safeties in the league, because he played linebacker, he played corner, he played safety, he played D-line. Like, he just do it all for them. So pairing him, and he's like a player that plays like him. You know, they kind of play the same, so they might turn out nice for Baltimore. You know, Baltimore Ravens, they always going. If they pick them, they pick them in the first round, they good to me, because they hardly ever miss. You know, everybody miss sometime, but Baltimore Ravens don't. Los Angeles Rams, pick 32, the last pick in the first round. Luther Burden, the third Missouri wide receiver. You know, they lost Cooper. They lost. They gained Devontae Adams. You got Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell. So you just add another receiver for Matthew Stafford. You know, Sean McVay, he gonna always dial it up and have them boys in the right position to make plays. He's one of those guys out the Shanahan tree, him and the guy from Green Bay. So we'll see how they go. And Burden, I like Burden, man. I've been watching some of his film, and I like what he brings to the table. But pick 32, that's second round pick, so that's a bargain for them. You get Burden at pick 32. But I feel like most teams, as long as you getting your need and not worrying about, because I'm never the type that, oh, this guy, we shouldn't have drafted him. If we need that player on my team, we need him, we draft him. You never know how he's gonna turn out. Like, you just never know. Some of them turn out good that you don't like, and some you do like turn out bad, so you never know. But as long as you picking for need and not reaching for want, then you be okay. You know, now you reaching for Travis Hunter, like, I understand those type of things. You go trading over Travis Hunter, trading over Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Abdul Carter, you trading up for those guys. I understand, because you ain't gonna trade up for them unless you need them. Or you're not gonna trade up for a player like Dallas. Not gonna trade up for Shedeur Sanders because they got Dak Prescott. No matter what you think about Dak Prescott, Dallas not trading up for him, so ain't no point even thinking about it. And they might trade up for Abdul Carter. They might trade up for Travis Hunter, but that's about it. But I'm excited, man, about the draft. It's one of my favorite days. One of my favorite weekends out the year is the NFL draft. I sit at home all weekend, probably other than my 7-on-7 games, but sit at home all weekend and watch the draft. Try to watch every draft pick, you know, just to see. It's a good time, young brothers, man, getting that money and living out their dreams. So we'll see you guys next time. Like I always say, if your first time is your last time, first time listening, your last time listening, I appreciate you, you know, because you don't have to be here with me. But we got a couple more videos coming after this first weekend of playoffs, so we'll see you next time.